Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. I am about to make a new batch of smoothies, and I have talked about them enough to enough people that people have asked for the recipe, so I'm happy to share. I don't usually do videos of anything, so I hope this turns out okay. Let me talk through just some of the powdery things that I use, and then I'll show you like the batch process that I use so that it's faster each subsequent time, depending on how many containers you have. So in no particular order, or actually I'll just kind of go in order of how much I use things. So starting with the organic protein, this comes from Costco. Honestly, I don't focus on protein very much in my diet. I think that we get the evidence shows that we get plenty. So this mostly like gives it a really good base and a good flavor. The flavor is super great. Again, this is just the Costco one, but I know that you can get it other places. After that, the second thing, the ingredient that I use the most of is the baking cocoa. So this is just single ingredient powdered cocoa. Nothing added to it, so it's super healthy for you. It's the healthy part of chocolate. If you don't add all of the sugar and milk, then this is incredibly healthy for you. After that, I put in about equal parts of hibiscus. So this is just whole flower dried hibiscus. I mean, not whole flower, but not ground hibiscus. So I just got that off Amazon. I buy it about a pound at a time. It comes in a package pretty similar to this almond powder. So hibiscus obviously is usually used for tea, but it has been found to actually have a higher antioxidant content than tea, so potentially healthier for you than tea. It has a really strong flavor in tea, but in the smoothies it doesn't come out too pronounced. It's really good. The almond powder. So almond powder doesn't add anything to the flavor. If anything, it has kind of an astringent flavor, and smoothies are a good place to use it because everything else will kind of overpower the flavor, so you don't necessarily taste it. But it has been shown to be the single highest antioxidant-packed food on the planet. So it comes from, I think it's like gooseberries or something. It's basically ground gooseberries, and it's just like a teaspoon or two of that will give you like as many antioxidants as the typical standard American diet will get in a week. Not that the standard American diet is anything to aspire to, but all right, so then after that, turmeric has, it seems like new evidence is coming out about the benefits of turmeric every single year, so it is fantastic. You can fit a pretty decent amount into smoothies. Cinnamon, as with many spices, people were surprised to find out that spices are actually really healthy for you, and cinnamon definitely amongst them. And then matcha. So matcha is literally just green tea, but in the pure ground form. So instead of taking tea and steeping it in water and seeing like what comes out into the water and drinking that, then you're basically taking the entire tea leaf and getting all of the benefits. So it's green tea, but it's even healthier because you're just eating the whole plant food. This also has the added benefit of adding a bit of caffeine to it, so it's not going to be a cup of coffee, but you'll get a little bit of caffeine boost from your smoothie. And then I skipped over peanut butter. Just add some peanut butter to give it some good flavor, and nuts are good for you. And then last, this is not on the list for any nutritional properties, but erythritol is just a natural sweetener. It's a zero-calorie sweetener. It's basically the only sweetener that has proved to have no negative effects. So it's as neutral as you can get for a sweetener. Incidentally, just as a side note, there are two sweeteners that are actually healthful for you. It would be one is dates, because it's basically the whole plant food is so sweet, but you're eating a whole fruit while you're eating dates. And the second one is molasses, because it again is a whole plant food. Yeah, that's what we sweeten it with. So I'll show as I go along, like making a batch of all of these, and then I'll show like everything else that goes into a smoothie. Basically, some fruits, a whole ton of spinach, and almond milk, and can't remember what else right now. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so this is my batch processing setup. So I've got 11 containers. This tends to be about the right size. Let's see, this is 1.2 cups. It's got nice lids that fit snugly on it, but it doesn't matter. Some of these are like littler, crappier ones. And so I've just got 11 that are about the right size, plus the smoothie that I'll be making right now will make an even dozen. So to start out with, I'm going to start with the protein powder and do about 2 scoops of that. It's just the scoop that comes with it. And then I'll come back for the next ingredient. Okay, so I've got 2 scoops of the protein powder out in all of these, and then next up I'm going to do about 1 heaping scoop of the cocoa powder. So I apologize, I don't actually know how big this scoop is. It's just the scoop that came with the protein powder, so going with that. Okay, so I've got all of the cocoa powder in, all 12 of them. So a note on how much, the quantity of everything that I'm putting in. So with the exception of maybe the cocoa powder, the peanut butter, the erythritol sweetener, all the rest of these things are super healthful for you. So the right quantity for you is as much as you can stand. So the more you eat, the healthier you'll be. And that's kind of what I go with, is put in is as much of this until I feel like I've had a batch where it was just too much, and then I'll scale it back a little bit. So with the next thing going in is turmeric. So I'm going to do 2 2 teaspoons of that. So I bought the spoon specifically because it has a 2 teaspoon amount because it is super convenient for smoothies. And I'll go ahead and do 2 teaspoons in all of these. All right, done with the turmeric there. By the way, this 16 ounce of turmeric can be purchased at Costco, so that's where we got that. Next up is ground cinnamon. We use enough of this in smoothies that I also get the Costco size of it, and I'll go with the same amount of 2 teaspoons on that. Okay, got the cinnamon done. So next up is the almond powder. I was able to just get this from Amazon, so it's available there. I'm going to go with the same amount of 2 teaspoons on almond powder. Again, the more you can handle, the healthier you'll be. So if you can do more than 2 teaspoons, then try a tablespoon. If you feel like that's too much, then scale back a little bit. But yeah, the more the better. Okay, finished the almond powder. Next up is matcha. This matcha also comes from Amazon, and I'm going to go with the same amount of 2 teaspoons on that one as well. But if you can tolerate more of it, the more the better. Okay, done with the matcha there. We've got some nice earthy tones going on here. And last for our powders, for lack of a better word, is going to be the hibiscus. So for hibiscus, also got this, about a pound of it off Amazon, and I'm going to do a heaping tablespoon on that one. And again, if you can tolerate more, go for more. Okay, hibiscus is in there, so that's all of them. I'll go ahead and seal them up. Okay, so those are all sealed up, and you can see how it will be super convenient next time. I'll go ahead and just crack one of these open, dump it in the blender, and I'll be starting out at this point. One note, I did start with some blueberries in the bottom of the blender because I find that it blends a little bit easier than just starting with the powders in the bottom. But then I'll show you the other fruits and veggies that go in there in a moment. All right, let's talk about fruits and greens. So, I shoot for something like a 50-50 mix of fruits and greens. So if you have ever used spinach in smoothies before, you'll know that you can fit a shocking amount of spinach in before you can even taste that there's any spinach in it. Honestly, you can give it to someone who hates spinach and they won't know that there's like half a bag, 3/4 of a bag of spinach in it. And I'm talking about if you get the regular like Kroger brand bags from Smith's for $1.99, I can fit like half to 3/4 of a bag of that in, and you can really pack it in there. As far as fruits go, I just kind of use whatever's around. So today I've got, I'll use a couple small apples. I've got some bananas that are ultra ripe here. Once they start looking a little gross there is kind of perfect as far as I'm concerned. That's when they start to get a really sweet flavor. So I'll probably use 2 of those in here. And then now that they're just the ripeness that I would like them to be, then I'll freeze the rest of them. Note on freezing is that definitely peel them before freezing, because if you have a frozen banana with the peel on, you'll never get the peel off. Yeah, so I'll throw the pieces of the peeled banana in with the blueberries, so it's already pre-mixed next time. Blueberries are awesome. As far as your frozen fruits go, you definitely cannot go wrong with blueberries. They just give it a really awesome flavor. I think that it tastes as good as ice cream for my weird taste buds, so you can be the judge on that. But you can also experiment with whatever other frozen berries there are. Some of them, if you get blackberries, might be like a little bit too tart, but just go with whatever you like. You definitely can't go wrong with blueberries, though. So I mentioned spinach, but I don't have a whole ton left today, so I'm gonna supplement it with kale instead of spinach after this is gone. Kale, definitely, unlike spinach, does not hide the flavor as much, so you'll definitely know that kale's in there. So if that's an acquired taste for you, if you're not ready for it, then just stick with spinach, but I like kale as well. I've got a pineapple from earlier today, so I'll be throwing some of that in as well. And then basically I'm going to fill this all the way up to the top and then some. And as far as I just kind of layer fruit, like go with layers of fruit, spinach, fruit, all the way up, and then that kind of makes it easier to blend because I fill it all the way up to the top. Then even though it's a Vitamix, it does struggle with it a little bit, so that helps with blendability. So I'll get that going here. Okay, I've got the first layer, so I've got 1 chopped up apple in there. On top of that, I've got a small layer of blueberries. Then on top of that, I've got spinach, and I will literally just shove the spinach down and pack it down as packed as I can make it, so it will be as dense as possible. So in the end, I'm going to fill this up with almond milk to fill the space in it, and my goal is pretty much to use as little almond milk as possible. So I want this to be basically as dense as I can get it with fruits and greens before pouring any almond milk in there. So next up, I'm going to do a big knifeful of peanut butter in there on top of the spinach, and then I'm going to do another round of fruit, and then I'm going to put a bunch more spinach in it. In my case, I'm going to do kale on it, and then I'm going to pack it down, and then I'm going to do that, probably 1 more layer, and then I'll be up to the max. So the goal is to get to that max and have it as full as possible, and then we'll fill the space with almond milk. So I had about 7 bananas. They were kind of on the small size in that bunch, and that's a great bunch that I showed you. So I peeled and put 2 bananas in there. Got a decent layer of blueberries. Got a bunch of kale, more kale in there. Threw some of the fresh pineapple from earlier today in there. So I am right up to the max fill line, maybe just a little over the max fill line. So my Vitamix might not be super happy with me. Okay, so that was 2 bananas. So the other 5 of them, I went ahead and peeled up, and then I, like I said, am just going to put all of these pieces right into the bag of blueberries to freeze for next time. And then next time I'll have a blueberry banana mix to get started with. So then the next thing in here is I'm going to fill this up to the max fill line with almond milk, and I'll show you that. Alright, so I've got that filled all the way up to the max fill line with almond milk. Get these at Costco in bulk, and they last forever. They're shelf stable for like another year or something, even though we got them a couple months ago. So we'll just buy a whole bunch of these. They don't need to be refrigerated until they're opened, so they're great for these. And so I filled it all the way up with almond milk, and then because I am a crazy person and I want more greens, I'll even shove the top of the cap full of spinach. In my case, I've got kale, but full of spinach until I literally cannot fit anymore. Okay, got that. So literally filled it all the way to the top of the top, and now I'm going to try and blend it. So since I obviously filled it up to the max fill line and then filled it up more than that, then it takes a little bit to get it started blending, but the Vitamix will be able to handle it. All right, blended that for after it got it toward a good blend where it was all moving, then blended for probably about 60 seconds and ready to pour into the cups here. We've got blender bottles. There's definitely no need to use the blender ball thing in the blender bottle. This just happens to be what we have around. Okay, so that filled these 3 up, and they're ready to pop into the refrigerator. I think I'm going to take one outside and sip on one right now because it's beautiful outside. So a couple other notes. Let's see, they will stay good in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 days easily. After that, they're definitely still drinkable. They're just not going to taste as fresh, but 2 to 3 days is no problem. So I'll make these at the beginning of a work week and maybe have it for breakfast or lunch or something like that. As far as actually drinking it, there is evidence that shows that it's more satiating. You'll feel full for longer if you don't drink it quickly. So it can be kind of difficult because I think they taste really good and they're a drink, so it's easy to actually just pound it. But my rule of thumb is like I try to not drink it faster than I would be eating it if it were a soup, say. So try and think of it more like a food, and you'll get more of the nutrients out of it and feel full longer than it. Let's see, one other note. One thing that I wish I could fit in here, but I don't, is flaxseed. Flax is really great in smoothies if you're going to drink it right away, but because I keep them around for, I'll drink it within a day or 2, maybe 3 days, then the flax works great as a thickening agent, but it will make it too thick if you leave it that way. So unfortunately that doesn't fit, and I would highly, highly encourage anyone to check out nutritionfacts.org. That's Dr. Greger's website. He's a medical doctor and my favorite nutritionist, and he has tons and tons of information on all of these ingredients. So if you want to see the health benefits of almond powder or hibiscus or cocoa or turmeric or cinnamon or anything that we're talking about here, go there, and there's a whole section on each of them, and they're really awesome short YouTube style videos. They're usually just like 5 minutes long, and you can get a ton of awesome information on there. So that is definitely the inspiration for these smoothies, and I hope you like it, and definitely give me feedback. Let me know how you liked it, and if you make any improvements, I'd love to hear about it. Thanks.